In the heart of the bustling metropolis of Greybrook, where towering skyscrapers kissed the sky and the streets teemed with life, lived Mark, a man who carried an unusual secret with him. Mark wasn't like most people. He didn't fear the night. Instead, he felt a strange comfort in the dark, a respite from a sinister force that had haunted him for years. For Mark, the daylight was when his true terrors unfolded. The day had dawned crisp and clear, but Mark felt the familiar unease building in his chest as he prepared to face the world. He glanced at the clock, and his pulse quickened. It was 8 in the morning, the start of another long, harrowing day. As he stepped out into the bustling city streets, the sun's rays should have provided warmth and light, but to Mark, they felt like icy fingers on his skin. Every face in the crowd appeared distorted, like grotesque masks hiding malevolent intent. He couldn't shake the feeling that people were watching him, scrutinizing his every move. He quickened his pace, desperate to find solace in the shadows. His first stop was the coffee shop, a place where he could blend into the crowd, or so he hoped. But as he waited in line, he couldn't ignore the eyes on him. He felt the weight of their stares, and he knew that they weren't merely curious onlookers, but something far more sinister. Mark's unease only grew as he noticed a man in a sharp suit who seemed to be following him. The man's cold, calculating eyes never wavered from Mark. Anxiety churned in his stomach, and he abruptly abandoned his place in line, fleeing the coffee shop. With every step, Mark's surroundings became increasingly surreal. The city's once familiar streets twisted and distorted around him. Even the sun's rays seemed to flicker and play tricks on his eyes. As he sprinted down the labyrinthine alleys, he felt like a rat in a maze with no way out. Desperation led Mark to a park, where he sought refuge under the shade of a massive oak tree. The cool, dappled light was the closest he'd come to safety in the day. He finally allowed himself to breathe, to relax even just a little. But that's when the nightmare took a twisted turn. A chilling voice whispered in his ear, "You can't escape me." Mark's he'd snapped around, but there was no one there. He looked around wildly, but the park was empty. The voice echoed in his mind, growing louder and more sinister with each passing moment. Terrified and feeling cornered, Mark couldn't endure the daylight's torment any longer. With one final glance at the distorted world around him, he plunged into the depths of the nearby forest. There, surrounded by the sheltering embrace of the ancient trees, he finally felt a measure of safety. But the forest had its own secrets, its own shadows, and Mark's sense of security didn't last long. As he wandered deeper, he stumbled upon a hidden clearing. In its center stood a statue of a faceless, hooded figure. The voice returned, louder and more menacing. "You can never escape the daylight." As Mark stared at the statue, it began to move, its hooded head slowly turning to face him. He screamed and fled deeper into the forest. Hours passed, and the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the world into darkness. Mark knew it was finally safe. He was free from the terrors of the day. But as he sat in the welcoming darkness, he realized the truth. The fear that haunted him in the daylight was not a product of the outside world, but something deep within him. It was a darkness that thrived in the light, and it was always with him, even in the safety of the night. The surprising twist was that the true source of Mark's fear wasn't external. It was a part of him. The darkness he felt during the day was a reflection of his own inner turmoil, and it had become an inescapable part of his life. Mark's journey was a harrowing exploration of the battle between inner demons and the outside world, with the realization that sometimes the scariest things lurk within us.